So something I enjoy most about being a Latina is being a part of something that just always feels bigger than just me or just that moment. Like everything is big and loud and vibrant and very festive, from the party to the music to the food to the fashions. Like it always just feels bigger than just that. And I love being a part of having that to be the culture and having that to be my history, and people always telling the stories about it. My family being so proud in it, that makes me so proud to know the culture, even though like I've never been to Mexico, I don't speak Spanish, but being in those moments is probably my favorite thing about being in those moments and being immersed into the culture just by people talking, just being around family is my favorite thing about it. So the women I admire most are the women closest to me, my mom, and then her mom. Just their stories and their strength that they had to pull together to push through their lives. My abuelita was kidnapped and then married, and she raised a family, she stayed, and then she was widowed very young and still continued to provide for herself, and was very I've never seen her angry or bitter or woe is me. My abuela, she was, I want to say 18, she went from having 3 kids to 10, and she still stayed and loved them as her own, and was still very just strong, and she stayed in a situation that she didn't have to. So, and even though I don't speak the language, there's a language barrier between us because I don't speak Spanish. Her love always translated to me, and that comes from her strength too. And then that trickled down to my mom, who didn't have the easiest upbringing, and everything she does is from her strength. The way she loves us so strongly and gives and cares so much about the culture and women and the community and wanting to make this difference comes from her strength because of her childhood. And none of them have ever said, woe is me, or played victim, or have become bitter, or continually talk about their traumas. They've just kind of gone on with their lives and continue to be there for their families and have made great lives. So when I'm feeling that, I have a cushiony life, so I can pull from their strength to give me strength to be able to push through my minor setbacks when they've had lives where they should be able to throw pity parties and they haven't. So that's where I gather. So something I admire about the culture, the Latino culture, is the pride. It's just a feeling like you get being a part of something so big and that everybody's so proud of. And even though people may talk down on it and don't understand it and only know what other people say and are ignorant to the culture, you can't tell us, the people that are part of the culture, any different, that anything's wrong with it, or that we aren't the best, or we aren't, hard workers, or whatever the stereotype may be. You can't tell us any different because we know and we live it. And there's just this immense pride that comes with being a Latina or a Latino, and the community that you have around you that is like no other feeling that you have unless you're in the culture. And if you ain't gang, then you kind of really don't know what it's about. So a song that gives me pride is probably Latinos by Proyecto Uno. It takes me back to a moment, like whenever we play that song, talking about the culture, and not just our culture, not just Mexicans, like all of them, all the communities in the Latino culture. It takes me back to the moment of my family just singing it. And whenever he comes and says Mexico, it's when we're all the loudest and we're all the proudest, and the gritos are happening and everything. It takes me back to that moment that fills me with such pride, and it's just a good like production of music, like the beat, the lyrics, everything is still really good. But yeah, it just does something to me. And honorable mention would be Amor a la Mexicana by Italia, just because it is speaking specifically to the Mexican culture, and that is my culture. Is it okay?
What I love most about being Latina is the culture and the food. The culture is just so centered around family and love and loyalty. And so that makes me really proud to be a Latina, and of course, because all the food is good. And somebody I admire in our culture is probably Selena. I would just say because of watching her movie really young, and her having like a kind of a struggle with being Hispanic but also being American, I could relate to, and being Hispanic and proud of my Hispanic culture but not being as fluent in the language, I could relate to. So I think that was comforting as a child, just when you're trying to figure out exactly who you are and not really fitting in one specific box, and being American and African American and Hispanic really can be confusing at times. So that's why I always feel like I looked up to Selena. Two other people I look up to as far as being Hispanic are my grandparents, for coming to this country and making it work the way that they did, and raising all my aunts and uncles, to the point of where me and all of their grandchildren get to be now, because of the sacrifices they made and being resilient and coming to a country that they didn't know the language and making it happen. So those are three people that I admire in the culture. And like I've already said, what I love most about the culture is the family, the love, the loyalty, just us always getting together, and that we all know the importance of family and know the importance of getting together as often as we can and sticking together through anything. And as far as a song goes, for a song, I would say is Latinos by Proyecto Uno, just because it's just a Hispanic pride song, and you can't help but be feeling proud. You can't help but feel proud about your culture when listening to that song, and it's a real upbeat song, so it just like gets all of us going, and we all love it. And so yeah.
What I enjoy most about being Latina is probably my sense of Latina pride. It just overpowers you, takes over your spirit. Being very proud of like the kind of people you are and where you come from and your family. A few Latina women I've admired in my lifetime and admire is probably Eva Longoria and America Ferrera. I think what they're doing for the culture is amazing. I think it seems that they've even put their careers kind of to the side for this to be the main focus of their platform, and I think that that's amazing. They're just very inspiring, and you can feel like their passion when they're talking about their people. I admire, of course, Latina women in my family. I think my mom is incredible. I think she's accomplished a lot, and from where she came from to now, I think she's accomplished a lot in her life. I think my abuelita, my tia Betty are like some of the strongest women that I know that I've ever come across. And I just love them, and I'm so proud of them. And just knowing certain things that they've been through and that they've overcome like it never happened is really amazing. They're just really the strongest women that I know. Things about Latino culture that I admire or enjoy, obviously the food. I think obviously the food is fantastic. whether it be, at a Mexican restaurant or my mom's cooking. Best cooking I've ever had in my life is from my abuela. So yeah, the food, the sense of community when you're in a Latino dominant area or a festival, like just a sense of community you feel when you're around your family or even just around your people. It doesn't even have to be people you're related to. Latino songs that are, there's so many, but that are empowering and inspiring. I think Latinos by Proyecto Uno is very empowering. Every time you hear it, you just get like this sense of pride in who you are and your community and your people. And it just takes over. Like, it just takes over everything when it comes on, and is very empowering in Latino pride. Another song that's probably empowering to me and inspiring to me is Olvídame by Ana Barbara. And it's not really like a Mexican Latino pride kind of song, but it's just the way that she's speaking on herself, and the gist is like a man that's like leaving her or moving on or whatever, and she's just very confident and like, I'm the prize, like, you're missing out, you're the one that's gonna have a hard time forgetting me and moving on from me, so like, good luck with that. But she just, in the words and the song and the beat, is just very empowering and like just reminds you like, of course I'm the prize. So yeah, those two songs, there's 1,000 others, it's very hard to pick, but those two are off the top of my head. So viva la raza.
Jessica. I'm the niece of my aunt Ruth Frierson, who is hosting this video or this podcast. I'm like a daughter to my aunt Ruth. She has definitely been a big part of my life since I was born. What can I say? What do I enjoy most about being Latina? I would have to say what I love about my Latin roots is the food, the culture of, family being very united. A lot of times we don't need a reason to get together. We just love meeting together. We turn on music. It's a party, and that is what I really love about my, being Latina, is just, the gatherings and wanting to be around family and friends. I also love the language as well. I really appreciate the language, speaking Spanish as well. And a lot of times growing up speaking Spanglish, it's funny, when, you grow up hearing both languages and you start off talking in Spanish and then you end it in English, a sentence. But I also appreciate that about being Latina. Let's just say 3 women that I most admire and that is inspiring to me are my mom, my aunt Ruth Frierson, and my abuela Socorro. My mom, because she got married at a young age when she was 18, and I was her firstborn. My mom, being that she was so young, and not only was she young, but she didn't, graduate. She didn't graduate high school, and she she really sacrificed a lot to take care of us when we were young. And she's always been a hard worker. From having to work in the fields, picking crops for many years until now, she continues to, work hard. It was having to raise teenagers and two little ones, babies, as a single mom. And I know that my mom has always had that strength to continue to push forward, just to really try to make it in this life. And her comfort level, she knows both languages, English and Spanish, but my mom's comfortable language is Spanish. And just, not letting society, even though my mom, she has a strong accent, speaking in English, she didn't let that, instill fear in her from having to continue working and trying to do better, in when it comes to careers. And now my aunt, Ruth Frierson, who I just admire as well and love, and she's always been an inspiration in my life since I was a little girl. There's just so much about my Aunt Ruth that where to begin. I just love my aunt's heart. My aunt has always been so considerate, loving, sacrificial when it comes to her time. And what I mean by her time is actually spending quality time, making time to spend with me, and in having deep conversations, and just enjoying each other's company as well, having fun. Having my aunt was like a mother, but at the same time, like one of my best friends as well. My aunt has never really judged me, or wasn't really big on not supporting me. And she's always been a big support. She's, even when it came to my poor decisions, she's always been there. And what I admire about my aunt is her strength in just her strength in fighting for others, being an advocate when it comes to minorities, especially when it comes to our family as well. She's always been a big supporter when it comes to our big Latin family. And what I mean by a big Latin family, there's like over 30 of us in just grandchildren and first cousins. There's over 30 of us. And I am the oldest out of all those 30 of them. But I have to admit, my aunt has always, in some form or fashion, tried to make time for such a big family. And I just admire how she continues, not just with family, not with just the blood family, but even with out here in the community, just being an advocate for the oppressed, for those who just aren't as privileged as others, and her love for wanting to love others. And the next person, the last but not the least, is my abuela Socorro. And her story, oh my goodness, how can I summarize my grandmother's story, which is so much involved, and I don't want to miss anything out. But my abuela got married when she was just 16. And my abuela, she met my grandfather when what I really appreciate is her strength, her perseverance, of having 10 children altogether. And so, and to this day, my grandmother still is very much involved in all her children's lives. And now she has, like I said, over 30 grandchildren. And what I love about my grandmother is this person that she too is not a person that judges. She's always opened the doors when it came to hard times. We always had a home to go to. And I really do appreciate that about my grandmother, Socorro, that she's always been a cool grandmother as well. You know, my grandmother, she can definitely, she is such a cool grandmother that just, my grandmother really made it easy to be around. Like, my grandmother she definitely had her rules, her boundaries, but she wasn't strict like I would say maybe some grandmothers would be. And she is like the third person that I can say that has been a big influence in my life as well. And I'm quite sure in a lot of my families, my aunts, my uncles, a lot of our families' life. But for me, those are the three women that have really, that I admire and inspire. And that's my mom, my Aunt Ruth, and my grandmother, Socorro. Now, the things about my culture that I really enjoy and appreciate is the family, how we are such a big family, but we still make an effort to try to stay in touch. Even though we're scattered right now in a lot of different states, we still make an effort. And I have to admit, that's one of the things that I really enjoy about my culture. Even when it comes to my other friends who are Latinos as well, they are the same way when it comes to their family. They're just we're very united, and we don't let drama. I notice, like, we don't let drama keep us disunified or keep us apart. We may not all we may not all agree on the life choices that we make, but we still make an effort in trying to stay in touch and trying to love one another. And I really do appreciate that when it comes to Latin culture, because like I said, so far, my friends who are Latinos, they're the same way when it comes to their families. And the other thing that I really enjoy about our culture is the traditions, the traditional food, especially when it comes to Christmas time, and then just growing up, helping my abuela, helping my mom make tortillas from scratch, and even making tamales, helping with that, buñuelos, champurrado, and there's just so many traditions, gorditas, flautas, so many traditional food, and the other part of my culture that I've just enjoyed and I really miss. And if the good Lord ever blesses me with a little girl, I don't know, I would definitely want that for my child. The having to give her a quinceañera. I wasn't fortunate enough to have a quinceañera. I had more like a sweet 16, but I've definitely been to a lot of quinceañeras growing up, and I just really, it's special to me. I've always seen it special, the tradition of having a quinceañera in the Latin culture. It's special because it's about a little girl coming into womanhood. Growing up too is they have, when it comes to her decorations, they'll give her, either her parents or her godparents will give her her last doll. And the last doll is usually has the same dress as what she's gonna wear. That's the other part that I really enjoy about my culture, is the tradition, and it's special, the tradition of having a quinceañera or giving your daughter a quinceañera. And the last thing that I really enjoy or have fun, and to this day I still enjoy, it's in my roots, it's in my family's roots. I can't say who doesn't love to dance to Latin music, to our Latin roots. And that is one thing that to this day I still love to do. I love to dance to my Spanish music. I love to dance to Tejano, my cumbias, to salsa, merengue. But here lately the modern music's been bachata. I definitely love to dance. I love to listen. I still listen to my Spanish music into my mix. I can say one artist, singer that I really enjoyed and I was introduced at a young age and she's, from my roots, which is from Mexico, and that's Ana Gabriel, and she is a mariachi folklore singer. And the one song that I just love, and there was a movie too, that her song was in it. And I want to say the movie was from Chayanne. He's also a singer, but he played the acting role in this movie. And I think it's called Shall We Dance? I think that's the name of the movie, but it was with Chayanne, and they danced to Ana Gabriel song, Eres Todo en Mí, and I love that song, and which means you are my everything. It is a passionate, romantic song about love. But what I really love about our music, especially when it comes to mariachi, is like the lyrics. The lyrics are so, they're just like poetic. And not only are they poetic, but there's so much feeling to the music.